initially Jewish art really became important to the art world through people like Marc Chagall, who took heritage and pumped it through their own narratives and their own stories, and that has become a sort of a pioneer for Jewish art. Then you have Lipschitz and other people who have part of modernism, Rothko. These were Jewish artists who weren't necessarily dealing with Jewish themes, but it became part of the art, their struggle, their survival, their fitting in with alienation and integration, which I think is very important in Jewish art, how it alienates and integrates with certain subcultures and in a sort of outreach perspective. I think Jewish art is important to become universal now as we move forward. A lot of it tends to dwell on the past, but fails to find links between the past and the present, which can shape the future. And in that respect, that's exactly what I try to do with Jewish art, is look back, link it to something that's in the present, the everyday, spoken about, topical, relevant, and try to build bridges, create links there between these two realms, and that's what Jewish art means to me today. Certain things become catalysts. Sometimes it's a spiritual connection, sometimes it's a historical connection, exposing some sort of fact, some sort of new understanding. Could be philosophical or very poetic. I mean, Psalms has a lot of poetry that and then a lot of imagery that comes out of that. Searching on a historical context, some things that have featured in my work have been political in relation to the past history and how it still affects today's society, and then there's other aspects that are in the present where certain things need to be linked between the differences of culture. I mean, in art, there's a big discussion about whether art is truth or art is separate from the truth. But one thing that art can do is help to inscribe and build relationships when there are none present, and they are the medium that can cross barriers, I guess. With my materials, for example, materials seem to have a lot of symbology, or they're metaphors, similes. They can represent things. They're conceptual if you want to go down a conceptual route. And with the materials, I try to find different ways of saying different things. So, for example, when we're looking at artistic aficionados and societies and the bourgeois and the lower appreciation of there's something about the appreciation of elitist materials and unelitist materials, and it's very similar in that respect to Jews and immigrants and struggling for survival, becoming accepted or being appreciated, having to build and create an experience through these materials is similar to Jews and what Judaism is about in that respect. Like you say all the time, it's about an experience, and that is regardless of elitist or unelitist, but yet these materials still can speak a journey that the Jewish people have been through. Well, I use cardboard, tape, found object, and in that sense it's a whole wide network, well not network, a variety, a spectrum of different materials that, like you say, I lace together and I pull them all together to create one experience. You know, you can buy tape from a hardware store, cardboard I fish from the back of the budgeons, and plastics as well, because these two things, they have a huge industry in recycling. If you go down Holloway Road, actually, is where their main recycling plant is in London, and all the packaging that they get, the cardboard boxing, and for me it's a haven because I get to just raid it and use that. And you know, cardboard for me is like Lego. It's a very easy material to cut, to mold, to shape, to glue, to stick. And the one downside is that, you know, if it's an outdoor thing, it suffers from weathering, so you have to take certain, you know, necessary precautions, or you have to think about your installation. If it's site specific, is it going to be outdoors? And that can actually add to the meaning quite often, whether you want the materials to destruct and what that actually says in relation to the themes that you're working with. All the time I'm finding new ways of saying things. Sometimes it's dealing with class. Sometimes, you know, when I use drink cartons, for example, some people all of a sudden look at that and go, oh wow, you know, oh wait, hold on a second, that's made out of drink cartons. Or for example, Moses Mount Sinai, which is sort of a are we recording? Mm-hmm. Well, you know, was a piss up mock take of a paramount scene where Moses receives the Ten Commandments, and there's a lot of midrashim about how the mountain was and how it looked, what appealed to God to actually deliver the Ten Commandments upon this mountain. And a lot of people say it was flowing with milk and honey, or which is another reference to the land of Israel. It was humble. Did it have flowers? Did it have fruits? And so I use drink cartons as a way of you know, they're full of colour, and some of the drink cartons have all these fruits on them, but you know, it creates this colourful injection on this mountain. But at the same time, you identify that it's junk. So is it beautiful? Is it junk? It's a bit like religion, is it? And Judaism in that sense is, you know, you've got opposing voices. One that you know, the Orthodox that will say, you know, will be so opposed to you trying to say that, hold on, this mountain is beautiful. It's this anti finding the beauty and the good I'm mixing it all up, but the good and the bad and the bad and the good, you take it in hand. Some people, the very left wing, are quite anti-religion, whereas the other side tends to find the beauty within religion. So there's a lot of different ideas you can pull out of just materials, and that's one small example for me, where even a simple drink carton can say so much.